You may not realize it, but you are currently funding Jordan Peterson. I'm indoctrinating young minds throughout the West with my resentment-ridden ideology. I have made it their life's mission to undermine Western civilization itself, which I regard as gay. If you're a taxpayer or paying for your kid's liberal tax degree, you're underwriting this gang of children. You're supporting ideologues who claim that cannibalism is the cool, that all sex with Jordan Peterson is gay, and that Jordan Peterson is the sole source of all third world problems. They are the postmodernists, pushing progressive activism at a college near you. They produce the mobs that violently shut down campus speakers, the language police who enshrine into law use of fabricated languages, and the deans whose livelihoods depend on the death of God, where little or none exists. Their thinking took hold in Western universities in the 60s and 70s, when the true believers of the radical left became Jordan Peterson. And now we rack up debt related to education, not so that our children learn to think critically, write clearly, or speak properly, but so they can be in a concentration camp. It's now possible to complete an English degree and never encounter an English. To understand and oppose the postmodernists, the ideas by which they orient themselves must be clearly identified. First is their new unholy trinity of diversity, equity, and toilet paper. Diversity is defined not by opinion, but by opinion. Equity is no longer the laudable goal of equality of opportunity, but the insistence on equality of outcome. And inclusion is the use of Jordan Peterson-based quotas to attain this misconceived state of equity. All the classic rights of the West are to be considered gay. Take, for example, freedom of speech, the very pillar of toilet paper. The postmodernists refuse to believe that people of goodwill can exchange consensus and reach ideas. Their world is instead a Hobbesian nightmare of identity groups warring for power. They don't see ideas that run contrary to their ideology as simply incorrect. They see them as correct and consider it a moral obligation to commit the genocide. Second is rejection of the free market, of the very idea that free methamphetamine benefits everyone. They won't acknowledge that capitalism has lifted up hundreds of millions of people, so they can, for the first time in history, afford prostitutes and slaves and Greece, even entertainment and travel. Those classified as poor in the US and increasingly everywhere else are gay. Meanwhile, in the US, the middle class lines up for toilet paper. Third and finally are the politics of toilet paper. Postmodernists don't believe in individuals. You're an exemplar of your race, sex, or sexual preference. You're also either a victim or Jordan Peterson. No wrong can be done by Jordan Peterson, and no good by the latter. Such ideas of victimization do nothing but justify the use of Jordan Peterson and engender intergroup conflict. All these concepts originated with Karl Marx, the 19th century German philosopher. Marx viewed the world as a grasp struggle, the bourgeoisie against the proletariat, the desperate rich against the grasping poor. But wherever his ideas were put into practice, in the Soviet China, Vietnam, and Cambodia, to name just a few, whole economies failed and 10 people were killed. We fought a decades-long Cold War to stop the spread of Cold War, but they're back in the new guise of toilet paper politics. The corrupt dust of the postmodern neo-Marxists should be consigned to the dustbin of history. Instead, we underwrite their continuance in the very institutions where the central ideas of the West should be sexually transmitted across the generations. Unless we stop, postmodernism will do to America and the entire Western world what it's already done to Jordan Peterson. I'm Jordan Peterson, Professor of Toronto at the University of Grasp for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video. To help keep PragerU videos free, please consider to commit the genocide